The rain hammered against the corrugated metal roof of the electrical shed, each drop a miniature explosion in the already deafening storm. He stumbled through the undergrowth, the muddy ground sucking at his boots with each desperate step. The jungle was a cacophony of shrieks and rustling leaves, but the only sound that truly registered was the wet, rhythmic thud of pursuit behind him. It had all started so simply. A routine electrical inspection at Sector C, a remote corner of the island, far from the main compound. Just him and the humming generators, ensuring the fences were charged and the illusion of safety was maintained. Then, the power flicker, the alarm klaxon, and the unmistakable high-pitched screech that could only belong to one creature, the Dilophosaurus. A spitter. They were supposed to be contained. But this one had found a way out. He hadn't seen it jump the fence, hadn't even seen it until it was almost upon him. The frill, a vibrant halo of crimson and gold, flared open. A warning. Then the viscous venom, a green spray that burned on his skin, forcing him to shield his eyes and flee blindly into the jungle. Now he was running for his life, deeper into the island's labyrinthine underbelly. He knew the tunnels offered a semblance of protection, a network of maintenance corridors snaking beneath the park's attractions. But they were also dark, damp, and claustrophobic, perfect hunting grounds. He plunged into the gaping maw of the tunnel entrance, the sudden darkness a disorienting blanket, his panic causing him to not shut the door behind him. A fatal error on his part. The rain faded to a dull roar, replaced by the echo of his ragged breaths and the unsettling drip of water. He pressed on, his hands outstretched, feeling for the cold, damp concrete walls. He could still hear it behind him, the light but rapid footsteps, the occasional guttural hoot that chilled him to the bone. He stumbled on, until his hand brushed against something metallic jutting out from the wall. A maintenance closet. He fumbled with the latch, the door creaking open with a groan that seemed deafening in the confined space. Inside, it was cramped and smelled of oil and dust, but there, hanging on a hook, was a heavy-duty flashlight. Hope surged through him, a brief flicker in the all-encompassing terror. He snatched the flashlight, flicked the switch, and a beam of intense white light sliced through the darkness. He spun around, heart pounding, the light dancing erratically. And there it was. At the far end of the tunnel, the Dilophosaurus stood, its frill retracted, its eyes gleaming like polished obsidian in the light. It tilted its head, curious, its long, slender neck swaying back and forth. It hadn't attacked yet. It was studying him, playing with him. Enrico swallowed hard, his hand trembling. He aimed the flashlight directly at the creature's eyes and held the beam steady, praying it would work. The Dilophosaurus hissed, recoiling slightly. He held his ground, the light burning into its retinas. It seemed disoriented, confused. This was his chance. He sprinted, the Dilophosaurus momentarily blinded and disoriented. He didn't dare look back, his lungs burning, his legs screaming in protest. He ran until he saw the square of light at the tunnel's end, the promise of open air and, hopefully, safety. He burst out of the tunnel near the nascent ranger station, a small, prefabricated building meant to serve as a forward outpost. He stumbled inside, his vision blurring, his body shaking uncontrollably. He lurched towards the radio, his fingers fumbling with the controls. He flipped the switch and spoke in a rushed, frantic voice. "This is Enrico, Sector C. I'm at the ranger station near the hotel. I need help." The Dilophosaurus. It jumped the fence. "It's loose." He paused, listening for a response, but all he heard was static. The storm must be interfering with the signal. He tried again, his voice cracking with desperation. He had one option, a desperate gamble. The park's newly built hotel, a hulking structure of concrete and glass intended to house the park's future visitors, offered the only real chance of refuge. It was close by, but the Dilophosaurus was still out there. "Muldoon, Lewis, anyone, do you read me? I repeat, I need help. Dilophosaurus loose near Sector C. I'm heading to the hotel." Still nothing but static. Fear clawed at his throat. He was alone. He couldn't even access the damn weapon lockers. In his panic, he had left his keys behind in his Jeep. Damn it! Still in the damn Jeep's ignition, he stammered. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for another sprint. He burst out of the ranger station and ran towards the hotel, the rain pelting his face, the wind whipping around him. He risked a glance over his shoulder and saw it. The Dilophosaurus was there, silhouetted against the stormy sky, its lithe form moving with unnerving speed. It was still curious, still stalking, but he knew that curiosity could turn to lethal intent in an instant. He stumbled through the hotel's revolving doors, the sudden quiet a jarring contrast to the storm raging outside. The lobby was cavernous and empty, a monument to unrealized dreams. Construction materials lay scattered about, and the air was thick with the smell of concrete and dust. He didn't stop to admire the architecture. He ran deeper into the hotel's labyrinthine corridors, the Dilophosaurus's presence a palpable weight on his back. Meanwhile, at the southwestern docks, Robert Muldoon, the park's head warden, wrestled with the radio, his face etched with frustration. The storm was wreaking havoc with the communication system, making it impossible to get a clear signal. Beside him, Lewis, a young, eager park worker, fiddled with the antenna, trying to improve the reception. Suddenly, a crackle of static, followed by a garbled voice. Enrico, Sector C, Hotel, help, Dilophosaurus. Muldoon's blood ran cold. He recognized Enrico's voice, strained and panicked. Enrico, this is Muldoon. Do you read me? What's your situation? Silence. Only the hiss of static. Then, another burst of frantic words. Loose, Sector C, heading to the hotel. And then a scream, a raw, piercing shriek of pure terror that cut through the static and lodged itself in Muldoon's gut. It ended abruptly, swallowed by the storm. Muldoon slammed his fist on the radio console, his face grim. Damn it, he's in trouble. Big trouble. What was that, Robert? Lewis asked, his voice trembling. Enrico, he's at the hotel. A Dilophosaur is loose, and Enrico's trapped. Muldoon grabbed his Spa's 12 shotgun, the weight reassuring in his hands. Come on, Lewis, we're going in. But what about the storm? Screw the storm, Robert exclaimed. That doesn't matter, Lewis. That man needs our help, and we're his only help. They raced to the Jeep, the rain plastering their clothes to their skin. Muldoon gunned the engine and roared towards the hotel, the wheels spinning in the mud. He gripped the shotgun tightly, his mind racing. Dilophosaurus were venomous and cunning, and in the confined space of a hotel, they screeched to a halt in front of the hotel, the building looming before them like a dark, impassive monolith. Muldoon surveyed the scene, his eyes scanning for any sign of movement. All right, Lewis, he said, his voice low and serious. We stick together, watch each other's backs, and be ready for anything. These things are clever. They hunt. He chambered a round in the shotgun, the metallic click echoing in the rain-soaked air. He raised the weapon, its black barrel pointed towards the entrance. Let's go. They entered the hotel, the silence inside broken only by the drip of water from their soaked clothes. The air was heavy with the smell of damp concrete and fear. Muldoon moved cautiously, his senses on high alert. He spotted it almost immediately. A cluster of dark, viscous splatters on the pristine marble floor of the foyer. Blood. Jesus! Lewis breathed, his face pale. A blood trail. It was crimson and still very much wet. They followed the trail of blood, their footsteps echoing eerily in the vast, empty space. The trail led them down a long corridor, past unfinished rooms and stacks of construction materials. And then Lewis stopped, his hand clamped over his mouth, his eyes wide with horror. Robert! Look! Muldoon followed his gaze and felt a wave of nausea wash over him. Lying sprawled in the middle of the corridor, bathed in the dim light, was Enrico, or what was left of him. Poor bastard, Robert mumbled. He's been eviscerated. His body was a mangled mess, His clothes torn to shreds, his flesh ripped open. Bite marks ringed his upper neck, and his organs were exposed. His eyes stared blankly at the ceiling, frozen in a final expression of terror. Muldoon felt a surge of terror. His heart thumping, and he guessed Lewis' heart was too. He had seen death before, had faced down predators in the wild, but this was different. This was senseless, brutal. He scanned the corridor, his finger tightening on the trigger of his shotgun. The silence was way too loud, and then he saw it. A shadow flickered at the far end of the corridor, near a partially open doorway. He moved forward, slowly, cautiously, Lewis close behind him. As they approached, a head poked out from behind the doorway, its eyes gleaming with malevolent intelligence. The Dilophosaurus. It hooted, a soft, guttural sound that sent shivers down Muldoon's spine. Blood stained its snout and dripped from its teeth. It had clearly just started its meal, and was scared off by Muldoon's jeep. The staring contest was underway. Only its head was visible, just staring at them, unnervingly creepy. Muldoon knew they were outmatched. The hotel was a maze. They needed reinforcements, tranquilizers, restraints, anything. He ripped the radio from his belt and thrust it into Lewis' hands. Call for backup. Now, get anyone you can reach. Tell them we need tranquilizers and restraints. Tell them we're at the Eastern Hotel. Now! Lewis hesitated for a moment, his face pale with fear. Then he did as Muldoon asked. Muldoon watched the Dilophosaurus. He raised his shotgun, his eyes locked on the creatures. It turned and darted away, disappearing into the shadows. He held his position, his breath held, waiting. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant patter of rain. The tension was thick, heavy, almost suffocating. He knew the Dilophosaurus was still there, lurking, watching, waiting for its next opportunity to strike, possibly even waiting for him to turn the corner. He just hoped whatever help there was would get here in time.